Finding the right settings can be very frustrating. Your sensitivity feels too fast. Your sensitivity feels too slow. Well, grab a notepad and pen, sit down, and let's talk about the ultimate mouse sensitivity guide in preparation for Modern Warfare 2. Welcome. My name is Switterex, and we are going to be diving into every setting that Modern Warfare has to offer for mouse sensitivity, so you're ready for Modern Warfare 2 when it comes out. Let's go. The first thing we are delving into is mouse space. The reason this is so important is because it determines how high your sensitivity can be. If you have a lot of mouse space, it means you could run a high or low sensitivity. On the other hand, you may have a small mouse space, in which case you should be running a higher sensitivity. The way I think you should base your initial sensitivity is being able to do an 180-degree turn or a bit more with a fast swipe of your mousepad. 180 degrees is the most important movement to have in FPS games, and you need a sensitivity that can perform this action with your mouse space efficiently. So, let's get to finding that sensitivity. First things first, let's head over to the options, then at the top, there'll be a tab called Keyboard and Mouse. Click on that. Initially, this section can look a bit confusing at first, so we're going to break it down setting by setting. Before we talk in-game sensitivity, let's talk about our mouse DPI, or dots per inch. In simple terms, this is like the mouse's own sensitivity. Some common DPI values you'll hear are 400, 800, 1200, and 1600. The higher the DPI, the faster your mouse feels. You can change a mouse's DPI by downloading your mouse's software. For example, I have a Logitech G403, so I would download Logitech G Hub and change it there, as you can see on screen. For some mouses, like mine, they come with a DPI button that lets you remotely change your DPI to the set values provided. If you're a beginner or someone who's struggling to find the right sensitivity, then I would recommend playing in between 400 to 800 DPI, as these are the values which most pro players use. This doesn't mean that higher DPI values won't work for you. In fact, I personally use 1600. However, as a beginner, I would recommend starting on the lower DPI values, experimenting and getting the right sensitivity, and once you've gotten that sensitivity, experiment with DPI values. Now that we've talked about DPI and how that affects our sensitivity, let's actually get into the sensitivity. If we go back just a little bit, we said that our sensitivity should be based off our mouse space and the ability to do an 180-degree turn or more with one fast swipe of our mousepad. Mess with the sensitivity till you can perform that 180-degree turn or slightly more. Once you can do that, you found your base sensitivity. Underneath the sensitivity tab, it'll have Advanced. You can click that and it will show you a drop-down list. Now, in my opinion, these settings aren't really important unless you want to get really specific. The only one which I would find partially useful is the Aircraft Sensitivity Multiplier. So when you play Warzone and you fly a helicopter, your sensitivity can feel very slow, but using this can help increase that. But other than that, this isn't really something you need to mess with, especially as a beginner. Next, we have ADS Mouse Sensitivity Mode. You are given two options, Relative and Legacy. Legacy bases your ADS sensitivity on your FOV, whilst Relative bases it on your monitor screen. In my opinion, Relative is going to result in a more consistent sensitivity and aim, since your rotation speed is adjusted to travel a specific distance with the same mouse movement. This is going to increase muscle memory, like being able to do that 180-degree turn consistently. When we click the Advanced tab, we are greeted by two options, ADS Sensitivity Transition Timing and Monitor Distance Coefficient. The easiest way to explain ADS Sensitivity Timing is to show you. You want to use Instant because it is going to be more consistent as it takes effect as soon as you hit your right click, thus better for muscle memory. Monitor Distance Coefficient is still a bit confusing for me, however upon research I found most pros run either 1.33, 1.77 or 1.78, Experiment and see which one feels better. Now we move on to ADS Sensitivity Multiplier. If this is 1.00, your ADS sensitivity will remain the same as your base sensitivity. If you want your ADS sensitivity to be slower than your regular sensitivity, then go below 1.00. So you could try 0.90 or 0.80, but I wouldn't recommend going too low, otherwise the transition from your regular sensitivity and ADS sensitivity will be off-putting and mess with your aim. You do have the option, however, to apply an ADS sensitivity multiplier for individual sight ranges. This can be great if you like keeping your ADS with iron sights or a 1x at 1.00, but find with a 3x sight or maybe a sniper scope, you would want it to be slower. Next up, we have all of the invert controls. Now personally, I would just leave these alone. It's just gonna mess with you, and I don't think anyone would want to use these anyway, apart from maybe the air vehicles, because I know with some plane games it on default it sets it to invert, so up is down, down is up, but for an FPS game you don't really want to be messing with invert. Finally, to wrap up the sensitivity section, we have mouse acceleration, mouse filtering, and mouse smoothing. Disable all of these or turn these down to 0, as it's just going to ruin your muscle memory, and I'm sure all pros would agree with me there. Alright, here is a quick overview of the most important things we learned today. Firstly, base your sensitivity on how much mouse space you have and the ability to do an 180-degree turn with a fast swipe of your mouse space. Don't make your ADS sensitivity too slow in comparison to your base sensitivity, otherwise the transition is going to mess with your aim. Experiment with DPI, but stay in the 400 to 800 range to begin with, and use settings that increase muscle memory. I'm going to be posting an absolute ton of kb+m guides and content from now on, and with the release of Modern Warfare 2 around the corner, there is no better time to subscribe than now. Become part of the channel today. If you have any questions, constructive criticism for the channel, or something to say, let me know in the comments and I will respond. See you all soon, God willing.